Hello, everyone. I hope you are continuing to have a great day. It is Tracy coming to you live from New Hampshire Writers Project headquarters, and we are back with another live broadcast with one of our featured members in this year's holiday showcase. So today we are here with Margie Bucheit. How are you, Margie?
I'm good. Thank you, Tracy.
I'm really glad you could be with me this afternoon. I know that you're just back from your stay in France, which actually plays a very important role in your book
It
and the
does.
research of your book. So I'm anxious to talk to you about that. But before we get into that, I just wanted to let people know that Margie's here as part of a promotion for our holiday showcase, which is on our website. And it highlights over 55 authors in our community who are um, in the local literary community, and we are supporting their efforts through highlighting their book on our website. These are our members. They work really hard all year round to promote their books. And if you are looking for a gift for that book lover on your list or that hard to purchase gift lover, then you want to head over to our website where you can find lots of great ideas, and you'll be supporting the local literary community, which we appreciate. So, all this month, we've been doing great live broadcasts with our member authors so that you can learn a little bit more about them and their books. And so, Margie, this is your debut novel, which is fantastic. Congratulations.
It is. Yes. Thank you.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself as a writer and a journalist.
Well, I worked as a journalist for many years and also in the educational field as a researcher and a program developer. And I think those skills got me very interested in doing historical research. So my life led us overseas to France because of my husband's own research. So we actually live in the region where my book takes place for part of each year. And along the journey, I got very interested in the French resistance movement because of some friends who actually had relatives who were in the French resistance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was just fascinating. And so it was like pulling unraveling a sweater, and you just follow this story, and it was just fascinating.
I got to imagine talking to all these people. Yeah. And just the research. Now, was there something magic about 5 years? Like you just had come to the end of all the people that you had wanted to interview?
I think it was just the time factor. Also, I speak French, but my written French and reading French, it's more difficult for me. And so it took time some of the stories I was reading, I was actually transcribing them into English and making sure that I understood the research and everything. And also the book itself, I wanted to talk about a community of people that made a stand against an enemy that invaded their country, that changed the whole culture of their country. And so it wasn't just about, fighters in the woods. I mean, we're talking about children, we're talking about housewives, we're talking about clergy who got involved in this whole movement and decided that they had to fight back against a greater evil, and they were all volunteers. There was no pay for any of this, and they had to many times leave their families because their families would be in danger if they were known to be connected with them. And the other piece that's so important to this is that the French resistance was really key to the success of D-Day. And in following that research, I think that's where I want to be really careful, because it showed that so many of these small volunteer groups actually helped prepare the ground for D-Day. And that was fascinating. That was just chilling, actually.
Well, I mean, you had a really nice review here from Pacific Book Review. I just wanted to read a small snippet here. It said, "The author's writing is superb in this novel. The imagery powerfully shaping the setting and the heavy atmosphere this era of history tends to lend itself." So, I mean, I love a book with great imagery because I am a visual learner. So if it's written in such a way that I can picture it, it's a story that's going to attract or keep my attention. And I have to imagine many people are the same way. And I think when you're writing about such a heavy, important topic, that type of writing or that style of writing is really important.
I think one of the things that happens, Tracy, too, is that when we think one person reviewed it and said they didn't believe that children would get involved in anything like this. And so, we live in America and we have been blessed truly. But actually, the people I talked to, they were 8 years old and 7 years old and 5 years old. They were running messages. They were pounding nails into rebuilt rail lines or roads to blow out tires of the German resistance. Just small things. I mean, one friend said her task in the house was to knock over beehives in the garden if the Germans approached her house. She was the smallest. She was at that point 9 years old. And she was to go out, and that would keep them out of the garden, keep them away from the house, because the bees would go after. And I know, fascinating, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the style of the writing seems like it's very authentic because of this time that you took to research and talk to all these people. Did you tell us how many people did you talk to get all these great stories?
Well, and there was, we have some very good friends there who have an enormous family. And so in terms of the people that were on the ground at that time, all three are unfortunately no longer with us, but I was able to get three of them on tape to talk about that time. And then several of them had written books as well. And so the other thing I did was to go to many of the resistance museums, which is on my website. People can follow that link. And I encourage it. They're all over France, and they really give another perspective on courage and bravery and, what people did to survive and to just say, no, I'm not going to live like this. I'm sorry. If this is what it's at, then I'm just going to fight back. So that we probably visited maybe 4 or 5 of those.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, and I love to ask this of everyone who writes fiction. Did you paint yourself or write yourself into any of the characters in this book, as well as any friends and family?
Oh, I don't think I can
Without getting you in
that.
trouble.
I didn't paint myself in, but I don't think I can say about other people.
Okay, that's all right.
I think what I could say, I think sometimes visually, when you're imagining a character in fiction, and what I found was, and of course you've written, I think, journalism too, and everything's real, but in this case, I was free to just let it go. So sometimes I would imagine somebody's face or features or something to imagine the character. But once that happened, the characters really took on a life of their own and became individuals.
Okay.
So if anything, they're a motley, assembly of a whole bunch of people.
I always find that interesting because some people will tell me that there's a bit of their personality that maybe is reflected in one of the main characters, but other people will write, like complete separate bios, which I find is fascinating because that seems like that's a lot harder to do, is to sketch out a complete bio that doesn't include anyone that or any, traits from yourself. So,
right.
Yeah. But I'm sure with all these great people that you talked to and you interviewed, I'm sure some of the flavor of their personalities must have come through as well.
Well, maybe I guess I hadn't really thought of myself being written in, but maybe as a writer, none of us could really avoid putting a little bit of ourselves in there. I'll have to reread it again, Tracy, and see if I'm in there.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Margie, what can we tell people about your book that will excite them to read this or give it as a gift without giving too much away in this story?
Well, I think this book would appeal to people that love 20th century stories, and especially about World War I or World War II, who want to know a little bit about the culture of France during that time. Because my story really takes place in a village and in the countryside, in the Loire Valley, a little bit in the city, but not much. It definitely would appeal to people who are Francophiles who just have a yearning to read anything about France. And also what inspired this book really was the courage that these people showed to to pick up arms in some cases, in other cases, just to move people, to hide people, to get food to people in any way possible that they could help when times were, the Germans were keeping that from happening. It was a whole underground network that was happening. So people that are interested in that kind of story, my story has 5 characters. There's a young boy in it. There's a Catholic priest that has turned resistance fighter, very confused, but he's there. There is an SOE spy who flies into the middle of this and is not really accepted at first. She's not dearly loved. And then there are the fighters themselves and just people in general who come into the story. Chantal is one, and Gerard is a fighter as well. Does that help?
It does help, yeah. And you talk about courage as one of the main themes in the book, and I'm curious, what other universal themes do you think will interest people that you shine a light on in your book?
Well, there's a theme of trust, okay, of unity, of love, not only of family and friendships, but also of your country. I mean, think about it. I mean, these people experienced a huge loss. The country that they knew all of a sudden just disappeared. It wasn't there anymore, and they were taken over. And it was sort of, they had their moment and they said, whoa, what happened here? And how do we fight this? How do we turn this around? And so there have been several, I'm sure people know this who have already watched this, but there's been several really good PBS broadcasts that were fiction about this whole episode. And you sort of get the flavor of that people are struggling to fight back against this. And sometimes you're not really sure who's in the resistance. It could be somebody who actually is in the German army, who is in the resistance movement. It could be one of the cops. And so the network of trust was very important of knowing that.
Well, if you are just joining us, we are talking with Margie Bucheit, who is one of our featured authors in our holiday showcase. And you can learn more about that at nhwritersproject.org, where we have more than 55 author members highlighting their books for the holiday season. Come on over to our website, check it out, purchase a book for that book lover on your list, and support the local literary community all at the same time. So Margie, I know that you told me too that sales from your books will be benefiting the New Hampshire Writers Project Veterans Project, the new project that we're rolling out for 2026.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how you came to that decision?
Well, I think in talking with you, and also this is a book about a form of military. Really, it's that people that are standing up for what they believe is right, for what was at one time the Constitution of France, of just supporting what they believed. And so when I thought about this, our own military really does that for us as well. And I wanted to give a portion of that back, especially to a writers project that is honoring veterans who have been through some times that some of us can't even imagine.
Yeah, well, we are grateful for that. And we're very excited about this new project coming out. So thank you very much for your support of that. And to learn more about Margie and her book, you can head over to her website at margiebucheit.com. And as she mentioned, this from the sales of her book, she will be donating to that Veterans Project that the New Hampshire Writers Project is rolling out. So Margie, tell us what comes next for you after your debut novel. What do you see coming up for you in 2026?
Well, there's some unfinished business in this book. And so the area that's really grabbed my interest now has been what happened after the war in this region. So I have some characters who, if you read the book, you'll discover. I don't want to give things away, but they're going to be moving on. And so that probably is going to be my next focus.
Okay, so we can expect a series to continue the story.
Well, at least
here.
one. I don't know. Is 2 a series?
I don't know. That's a good question. If you have to have 3 for a series, or if you can do it with 2, that's a good question.
Well,
In
I'll
my
start
book,
with
it's a
two.
series.
If I get to three, then maybe then we could call it a series.
Okay. Well, we'll look for part 2 then.
Okay.
Well, Margie, it's been wonderful talking with you. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk with us and our community. And thank
Thank
you,
you, Tracy.
everyone, for tuning in and for supporting the New Hampshire Writers Project as well as our local literary community. Again, head on over to margiebucheit.com to learn more, or at our website, you'll also learn about Margie at nhwritersproject.org. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great holiday. Take care.
We'll see you.